as I learned, as I had faith that I could learn and not only learn, apply this information. And that's where you have to have the faith in, because you can believe something all day and faith will overtake belief any day. Because if you have faith and you're taking action like you was talking about with it, you become Thanos. Great morning, great evening, great afternoon. I am your host, Devontae Ward, and I'm joined by
Demetrius Pearson.
And this is The Counterattack. So obviously we got on the same clothes as the last episode. We decided to continue to roll on through. If I ain't edited it out properly, we were using my stove's timer as the alarm system to let us know when we went the duration that we were trying to go for the podcast. So you gotta use what you have until you get better things. My phone is, recording right now. We have the Canon up, and then he has his phone because, family, kids, clients,
Hotline.
Man got
Hotline.
like 5 jobs. You know what I'm saying? He don't get tired.
Yeah.
All right, so mindset shift. We was talking about the shifting of the mindset when it came to me personally in my fitness journey when it relates to running. I run about a 5K each day, or not each day, each week. And with that, like over time, I gained confidence in my running ability. However, like those first months, like when I was like having to walk and like really, like it really sucked. Like it didn't feel good. And to start it up, like I started with you and Obi, and like I had a good circle to help me out. What would you say as a fitness coach and a gym advocate, a gym freak, if you may? Like, what are some of the what are people waiting on? Like as we get towards the beginning of the year.
So it's funny you say that, right? Because today is December the 20th, so we got the new year coming up in about 11 days or so. Just like every year, and people like to make jokes about it, and that's neither here nor there. I like to laugh at it too, but people are gonna, they're gonna start their fitness journeys. New year, new me. I'm going into this era, this and that, and I want to first off preface by saying that, even though I do laugh at the jokes, because they are true. The gym's going to be super crowded come January the 1st, but don't let anybody shame you out of, starting your fitness journey whenever you would like to start. If that day for you happens to be January the 1st, then let January the 1st be day one. But at the same time, I'm also a huge advocate of imperfect action, meaning that you don't have to have it all together. You don't have to have it all figured out. And the timing doesn't have to be perfect. Like people think that the stars and the planets are gonna align, but that thing just never happens. Like for me, if you just ask me personally, like if somebody asked me fitness advice, so like, okay, January is coming up. When should we start? Let's start today. Like let's start today, because statistically speaking, people are more likely to be successful with that goal or resolution, if you will, if they start before the new year actually starts. Because I think just being amongst the crowd of people that's actually in there and like trying to pursue fitness for the first time, I think that motivation is there. But we all know that motivation is fleeting. When it goes away, when the crowd goes away, discipline is the only thing that you have left. If you start now, when you start today, you start getting those reps in with that imperfect action, then one day maybe it will be a little bit prettier. Maybe you will have the discipline. Because I always tell people it's not what you do, it's what you do consistently. I saw this video a little while ago, and it just keeps sticking to me, and they talked about clay pots. So it was 2 groups. It was Group A, and it was Group B. Group A's job was to make the perfect pot, like the perfect clay pot that you possibly could with the amount of time that they had. Group B's job was to make as many clay pots with the amount of clay that you have within that certain period of time. What ended up happening at the end is that they judged both of them. So Group A, they had a pot. The pot looked pretty good or whatever. But what they found was with Group B, the ones that were making multiple pots, they found that the more that they made, the more perfect they became. So it turned out that Group B actually made the most pots and the most perfect pots. So I think that speaks to imperfect action, saying that, hey, if you start today, even if it doesn't look pretty, like, just keep it going. So yeah, pick your day one. If that's January the 1st for you, then yeah, I definitely encourage you to go ahead and get started. If that's today, I encourage you to get started. But don't let people discourage you from starting your journey when you want to start your journey.
You need to encourage yourself to start your journey now. whenever that now is for you, that's when you need to start. You need to start now. And so there's a few things I want to ask you to break down because we were talking about a story that you was talking about earlier, and the decision, the thought versus a thought versus an action, and how those three things work in tandem. There was a story about these frogs in a lily pad that you was telling me off camera. Would you mind telling them about that?
Oh yeah, for sure. So with DJ, he talked earlier about how he started running 5Ks during the year. And let me tell you, he started really around this time last year because we were preparing for a race that started in January. He looks like a completely different person, like night and day. I don't know. Maybe if we real nice with the editing, we could put up a before and after picture, but he looks like a completely different person. He started, and even though, running didn't necessarily agree with his body, he did research, he consulted with medical professionals, and once he knew better, he did better. Now, this man runs more miles than me, like probably by a long shot. Like, he's the reason, he keeps me honest when it comes to running. And he talks about, using that knowledge to be able to accomplish something because you know better. So the story goes, I read this book recently. It's called The Slight Edge. And the author was telling a story about these 5 frogs on a lily pad, super simple. And he was telling the person that he was talking to in the story that, hey, there were 5 frogs on a lily pad, and one of the frogs decided to jump off. How many frogs were left? Well, naturally, the person that he was talking to was like, well, there was 4 frogs on the lily pad. And me listening, I'm listening to the audio book. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely 4. What could he be getting at? And he was like, no, there's still 5 frogs on the lily pad. And he explained that just because that one frog decided to jump doesn't mean that they actually jumped off. So it just goes to show, like you were saying, having that thought and having that action, you have to be able to bridge the gap in between the two to be able to get the result that you want.
Now, I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not gonna say religious. I'm very much into the doctrine and stuff like that. I like psychology, philosophy, things of this. They peak deep conversations pique my interest. So when you were saying that concept about like that, just because they decided didn't take an action, right? I believe a lot of that inaction is through what we call learned helplessness. So I'm gonna flex a little bit of my recent education. So you got this PAG area, this periaqueductal gray area in your brain, and I gotta do a little bit more research to be honest with you. But it's in a connection with what we call learned helplessness. So like somebody that's getting beat by their husband, just an example, and they stay in a relationship because they really feel like they feel helpless in the situation, but this is my situation. So there's a certain level of learnedness there, and I do believe that has to do with a type of belief system. Like you can be abused into a belief system. I think we see it throughout history. We see it throughout the Bible, which is why it's so profound. And when you were talking about like, okay, there's still 5 frogs there. This is where I can use a practical example of what faith is, right? Like you had a thought as a frog that's sitting there. I want to jump. Then you legit say, all right, I made up my mind. I'm gonna jump. Yeah, everything that whatever you've learned up until then keeps you from taking the action. A thought, a pause, like the uncertainty. And it's that uncertainty, like, like I should do this or I should think about this. It is that uncertainty that keeps you from doing it. And it is that uncertainty is where faith lies. Yep. It's not what you believe. It's not what you know because you don't know. I don't know too much about quantum physics. I ain't know anything about the PAG region of the brain, the hypothalamus. I ain't know anything about these areas, the amygdala. I didn't know anything about the limbic system. I didn't know anything about what the endocrine system. I didn't know anything about where all these hormones and these different things excreted from your body and what they cause. I didn't know. But as I had faith that I could learn and not only learn, apply this information. And that's where you have to have the faith in, because you can believe something all day and faith will overtake belief any day. Because if you have faith and you're taking action like you was talking about with it, you become Thanos.
Mm.
You become Thanos. Like,
Yeah.
and all it starts with like it's speaking. It's like, I am this. I ain't mean to get too deep off on it, but like that story and like how you strung that together with all the other nonsense, like dang, like you painting the perfect picture. I was like, I can't let this opportunity go to waste. Yeah, man. So, all right, as we get ready to wrap this one up, reality, right? So the reality through imperfect action, right? So like how can we get people to be, I ain't gonna say more honest, because like one thing we don't want to do in this podcast, we don't want you all to feel like we're trying to be right. Matter of fact, I take that back. I don't care how you feel, right? And I'm saying this with love. I'm not saying I don't care how you feel, like I don't care how you feel. The whole intent and the purpose is to continue to get better and better at helping humans, people, every day, black, white, in between, see what is serving them versus what's not serving them. I've dealt with a lack of confidence personally, and that does not serve me. Like I had belief without faith with this. I believed because I've got a degree, got a beautiful daughter. You know, I did a lot of work. The confidence piece, like I had to work on that in tandem with it. I had to have faith that that was going to come, and it does come. So even if you don't believe it, but you know, like, okay, I need this to accomplish my goal. I need this to serve not just myself, but those around me. Like I had to pick that back up. So like, what are some things that we can do to help ourselves out in the moment? Like what kind of communities can we join? Like, do you have any ideas?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I think a lot of times what you were speaking to, I think if we're gonna talk fitness, you know what I'm saying? It's Coach Michi talking. So if we're gonna talk fitness wise, right? A lot of people that start off, you know, they do the work, they do the research, they find out the things that work for other people, but sometimes these people are not self-starters. So, you know, maybe they have a couple good days and then they fall off for a little while, then they have a couple more good days. And in the long term of things, like compounded over time, it doesn't mean a lot. Like I said, it's not the things that we do, it's the things that we do consistently. So even if you have 7 mediocre days in a row, if you keep having 7 mediocre days in a row over the course of time, you're gonna make way more progress than you would if you just have a few strong days and then you fall off the map. So one of my number one tips for anybody that's struggling to be consistent when it comes to their health and fitness is, one, try to find a gym partner. And that could be someone that's new like you. You could explore the gym together and hold each other accountable. Or even better, you could find someone that is already experienced, and you know you'll be able to rise to their level because of the experience that they already have. You don't have to feel lost while you're in the gym or you're just in the fitness realm, nor do you have to really just tackle anything by yourself. So that may speed up your progress. Two, you know, free plug right here, you could sign up and get a fitness coach. So fitness coach, you get to lean on their expertise, you get to lean on their experience, you get to feed in as many questions as you want to. You don't have to Google every little thing. Like, they have it right there readily available for them. So maybe that's something that can get you to the next level. And third thing, find a community, like whether that's in your gym, outside your gym. Like for me, all of my friends, we do fitness. Like that's one place that we have common ground at. Find a community. So another free plug while we on here, because he let me do it. You know, we have the K&D Club. That's our Discord community. We just finished doing our Labor Day to Turkey Day challenge, and super simple. All it was a group of people. They were checking in every day. Hey, look, I did this today, and I hope you're motivated to do the same. You know, we were giving each other kudos. We were showing our progress, giving best tips, giving best practices, and it's completely free to get in. So we'll make sure we plug that information if you guys would like to join the community. Also, my information will be there to follow me. So Michi_talk_me on all platforms. And yeah, if you need that fitness coach, I'm your guy.
All right, just to wrap things up, remember, all right, so get you a gym partner, or get you somebody that's experienced, so get you a gym mentor, or if neither one of those available, pay for you a gym coach, either virtually, or if you got the bread, get that time in. But you could spend that $25 to $50 a month for a few months and get you a system.
Come on now.
ChatGPT.
You feel me?
You know, fitness community. Join the K&D Club. It's free. 5-finger discount.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Thanks.
So, what can you lose by joining in? You could join, and then you could, if it's not for you, you could, exit. But either way, we wish you the best. We wish greatness upon you. And this is the Counter Attack. Again, I'm your host, Devontae Ward, joined by
Demetrius Pearson.
And we'll see you next week.